And welcome back, everybody, to Gears Pro League Split 1 Day 1. I'm Taylor Reflections Obo, joined by Colin and Crow Clark. We saw already one upset today, Elevate getting a narrow 3-2 victory over that of Pittsburgh Knights. Now it's time to transition into our second series of the Gears Pro League for tonight. And of course, that's Rise and Oxygen, one that I'm very, very excited for. And the reason why, Colin, I haven't seen a lot from Rise in the offseason.
They might as well be named the Ghosts of Rise Pass because I ain't seen them. I ain't seen no ghosts. I ain't seen no ghosts.
Hey, man, I haven't seen them either. Where are they at? Seriously, where they been?
Either hide nor hair. You know, we did get a little taste of what these guys are made of a couple of nights ago. I think they rejoined a scrim for the first time. I think people were like, why am I getting invited by Rise Icy? Who? I'm just kidding.
We're taking it too far. We're about to stay. I know they pay attention to Twitch, and
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Hey, to Avexyes' credit, though, I have seen him in the chats whenever we do shows or the Pro League qualifiers or whatever. So he's definitely been paying attention to the competition, and the competition is here tonight. And I know he's been looking at Oxygen, but obviously Rise, Rushiez, Avexyes, Detox, and Icy. Got a lot of questions, but I need answers. And, well, I guess open-ended question for you. How are these boys looking tonight, do you think?
I think they're going to come out with a little bit of ring rust. And what I mean by ring rust is they're probably not going to be as quick to the punch. The rotations might not be as crispy. And what they're going to try to do, if you ask me, is they're going to try to just out-punch their opponents, similar to what we saw out of the Pittsburgh Knights in matchup number 1 against the side of Elevate, because you've still got 4 of the most premier punchers on the planet on this squad. Rushiez, when we saw him got to play free and loose last season, fantastic. Avexyes, Detox, we know what they're capable of. And of course, one of the most historically great players, and Icy will always be a guy that you have to take note of when he's on the map.
And Icy, very curious to see his performance throughout this entire split. I know it's kind of rumored, or at least he's put out there, that maybe retirement is around the corner. So for Icy, is he going to have his head in the game and be ready to play this split? I hope so. They're going to have to go against a tough roster, and that's Oxygen. And this roster, I'm personally excited to watch tonight play off against Rise. And the reason why, if you guys know this Oxygen roster, you should be familiar with Rocky and Abolics. But the new additions qualifying for Pro League, Scavzy and Bronny. Scavzy is incredible, and we know Bronny, his biggest and best performance was during that spring major with Vanquish. They ended up getting 3rd place. He had big shoes to fill, and he did so. But this roster, to me, has been inconsistent too. So when you're mine, how is Oxygen looking?
Would you say that they've had a rocky go of things?
Dang, that was reaching, but you know what?
Right,
I'll accept it.
Okay, look. Hey. All right, look, I'll give it to you straight. Their biggest problem is that they don't find themselves in situations that they favor. They keep finding themselves having to play defense. And when you've got a guy like Rocky and a guy like Bronny, defense ain't necessarily going to be your strong suit. You're not the guy to get backed up into the corner and have to hug it out until the referee pulls you apart and you can get back to that quick jab that these guys are specialties in. You've got to find yourself a little bit of early momentum with guys like Abolics and the side of Scavzy being able to support Rocky and Bronny, being the tip of the spear, especially Bronny, because we saw his lifeline, his lifeblood has basically been, all right, look, Bronny, you just got to go out there and kill everything. We're going to help you doing that, but you got to go out there and kill everything. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, if it's red, it's dead. And that's how he has to live his life. But all we saw in that last chance qualifier tournament, every time they're losing rounds, losing maps. I mean, when they got the hot 3-0, they couldn't get their feet under them. It was like they tried to get out of bed and somebody hit them with a 2x4. They just laid back down.
First and foremost, I might be scared of Bronny now. At this point in time, you just made him sound like a mass murderer. But hey, either way, I digress. For Bronny, I know, hey, he's got a good heart, and he's young, and he's battling hard to make things happen. He graduated high school in the last phase. Now he's free time. I don't know, maybe college, but for sure the Pro League, and he's been doing an incredible job doing so. But hey, Oxygen, I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have about them. Not so much as Elevate. I expected Elevate to do well, but now for Oxygen, I've seen them have some very rocky series, quite honestly, whether it be in the last chance qualifier or also, I'm sorry. Hey, I know production screaming in the background didn't help either, but Colin, hey, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have done it. Took it. It is what it is. We're both out here. I'm about to be 30, so I can start making jokes like this, even if I'm not a dad. Let's talk about our maps and see what we're going to be rolling with tonight, because got a lot to talk about. Regency control. Rise at one point, especially with Fran on the roster, was not with Fran on but they were considered the kings of control, the kings of Regency, most importantly. Now they're going back to their roots, and I like that. This is a strong start, in my opinion, for them.
It is a strong start for them. They're going to go back to basically what is comfortable for them, if you ask me. They're going to go back to trying to just play within themselves, what they're used to. The big thing to me is that Ovygen has had to play Ritual and Ephyra a lot coming out of those qualifying tournaments.
That's right.
And those could be two maps they pick up, and they're looking at it like this. We've had a lot of reps on it. We've had a lot of chances to get two maps right there, and we just got to find one of the other ones. Because again, if Rise is anything like the Rise we saw last split, it ain't gonna happen on Control. I can tell you that much. Ovygen is gonna have to find it in Execution and Escalation.
So first three maps, Regency, I expect Rise to do very well on that map. Harbor, though, let's talk about Harbor, Colin. Rise is a fantastic Harbor team, arguably one of their best maps when it comes to Escalation. So the fact that slips through, I don't know what that tells me. Is Ovygen, avoiding Vascar and Training Grounds? Are they saying, we're not comfortable there? Are they saying, is Harbor our best map? Well, you did mention Bronny as that guy, point and shoot, take him down. Well, Harbor might be great, especially for that winch fight off the rip. So maybe there's strategy behind it. But Rise still, I stand behind it, is a scary Harbor team. So map 1 Regency, map 3 Harbor, in my opinion, are favoring that of Rise. So for Ovygen in the pick and ban process, I do believe they got the short end of the stick.
They did get the short end of the stick in a couple of different situations, but what they're going to have to do is make the best of their short end. They're going to have to pull hard, and they're going to have to pull as a team, as a unit. One of the things that people are going to underestimate about Ovygen throughout this entire split is the fact that they can play as a team, and they have to take advantage of that by playing a little bit closer, playing a little bit more together, shooting for one another, and that's how you come out on top in these matchups.
All right, well, let's talk about who we think is going to end up on top, Colin. Of course, our favorite section, our predictions. And Chad, I know you're still thinking it over. I'll give you some time. But for myself, I'll start it this time around because I threw it to you last time. You know what? Haven't seen a lot from Rise. Got a lot of questions about him, but I still got to back them up. So I'm going with Rise. And the reason why is because if they're that Rise that dominated, in the last couple of phases, and let's not kid ourselves, even in the Summer Major, I think they're going to do just fine. And Ovygen is too inconsistent, in my opinion, right now for me to really support them. So Rise, despite not seeing them, I've got to go with them. What about you, Colin?
I'm going to look dead into camera 1 right here and tell him, I'm going to say, look, Rocky, prove
like you got 2
him,
or 3.
Prove him wrong, Rocky. Okay. Prove the world wrong, Rocky. Prove me wrong, because I'm picking Rise as well. I'm telling you that much right now.
I love how you clarified camera 1, like Colin is going to have 3 set up.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Taylor. Little insight, Taylor, into a running gag with me and a bunch of my friends. I always imagine that off to the left is like America, because some of the things that happen in your life just feel like they could only happen in a sitcom. You ever had that feeling? You're like, why is America watching? So camera 2's over there at all times, but camera 1 right now is right here. Right here.
I'm going to wrap my head around that. I don't.
You do it, baby.
I don't get America's watching to your left, but
America's
Colin,
watching.
You are pure Americano, so I give it to you. Hey, Chat, instead of getting Blaze, Jacob, help me with that one. Chat, who are you going with? Are you going with Rise? Are you going with Ovygen? I know Complex is going Rise, and it seems like he's representing Chat. Everybody's going Rise. So now we are on the same boat that we were in when we betted against Elevate. So what does that mean? Ovygen might have a running chance here, but either way, it is their opportunity to shine and prove us all wrong. And I know Bronny, Scavzy, Abolics, and Rocky definitely want to do that, Colin, but they're going to have to fight hard, and it starts on Regency. But you said it best off the start, knocking off the ring rust. I actually don't know what that is, but either way, knocking the rust off. That's what they have to do. I don't know what it is.
Ring rust is a two sport term. If you
talk about ringworm is. Sorry, just keep going.
If you're talking about professional wrestling, ring rust is when you haven't been in a professional wrestling match, so your timing's off. You're not as great as you are. If you're talking about actual fighters like boxers, UFC fighters or whatever, ring rust is when you're coming back from an injury and you don't have the same kind of speed and instinctual anticipation of your opponent's movement. I think that's what we're going to see out of Rise. That's why I use the term ring rust, because yes, you're still going to have a lot of mechanical skill. There's no way that Avexyes and Detox and Rushiez and Icy haven't played as much in the past month and are suddenly not going to be Avexyes, Detox, Icy, and Rushiez. Not going to happen. Got bad news for you if you were expecting it. But I do think there's like a gap basically where you're going to have to come through with a big lead on Regency and to be able to finish that off if you're Oxygen, because as soon as they start to knock that ring rust off, there's a chance that they're just going to go back to rolling, like boulder rolling over all everybody.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, Rise is a scary team. You know, they really are a scary team, and they've been a scary team ever since the addition. Well, let's not kid ourselves. Ever since the addition of Detox, man, these guys have been on fire. They've got a lot of talent. They're in your face now. The new DNA, well, not really new anymore, but, you know, they're aggressive, but of course they have the smarts to back it up, and that's what makes them scary. They're a great all-around team, and technically still on the revenge tour. Now, there's two teams now on the revenge tour. It's Noble and it's Rise, but they're still there.
I figured it out. You know why we haven't seen Rise scrim a lot between the last major and now?
Okay.
Do you remember when they wanted to check on me after E United got knocked out and then they got swiftly 3-0'd by the Pittsburgh Knights? Nobody checked on them. I even tweeted about it. That's why I should have put out an APB. I should have put out an APB, man. Should have had people out there looking for him.
I have never seen someone roast the team that they backed up in their predictions so much.
I want them to be angry at me enough that they come out. And you just got look. This is like Big Brother love. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to poke at them enough where they're like, you know what, Colin, watch this, and then it's like 398 and like 6-1 and
could
like
happen.
5-0.
It could happen.
It could happen. It might not happen. But right now, I'm putting all my eggs that if I just badger them enough, I'm going to get the job done.
I hope that doesn't happen, not because I'm really supporting either team. We're forced to do predictions, all right? It is what it is. We are forced to do.
You love it. You love it.
I'm not the champion, so I don't. I'm a bit bitter on it. I'm very competitive. Jacob is the champion. Let's be very clear about that. I ended up dead last with Chat. Okay, so that's how I'm feeling. But I kind of spin that off like me and Chat, hey, we're on a team, but now I'm coming at your neck, Chat. Although I can't get a leg up on you because you're voting the same as us. But fair enough, one day we will go against the grain and split our different ways, and one will end up ahead and behind. But regardless, though, I would hate to see Rise dominate this series, Colin. The reason why is because I get flashbacks of Bronny competing with Team Queso in the Pro League. And Bronny, when he was competing with Team Queso, they just simply could not win. So I would hate to see Bronny on a roster that once again struggles to find victories. So as much as, you know, I voted for Rise, it's not as much as I want to see them win, but I wouldn't mind seeing Oxygen win this. It would create more storylines, but more importantly, would light a fire under Bronny and co. to get their stuff together and make some magic happen. But either way, destiny is in their hands. Let's find out how it's going to play out.
Right now, already starting off on the side of Regency, and you can see where Rise has taken over the initial hill, and Bronny gets the M-bar, trying to help out, get a couple of kills in the middle. Avexyes will drop. The last three players for Rise are inside of the hill trying to play out. Bronny will find one. Bronny will find a body shot on Icy, and then a quick down and a swift down comes out on him. Scavzy will get shot on and taken down by Detox. Detox, last player alive for Rise at the hill. He's going to get body shotted. Tries to wiggle waggle here onto Bronny. Bronny has to worry about another player. That's going to be Avexyes getting tagged up a little bit by Lancer. I believe those were nades thrown out behind him, but not enough damage done. And Bronny continuing to push forward, and that's exactly what we thought might happen, and that's exactly what Bronny has to do to be able to help out his squad.
Good job to Bronny. It's going to give a couple points over to Oxygen, but still a hard battle ahead of them, right? You can look at the minimap and see all that blue spread out. That's Rise locking in the next hill. So Detox is at the forefront. He might be challenged by Bronny. Abolics is also there. Maybe Player 8 also rotates in. It's exactly what they're going to do. So Detox needs to call this out, call numbers, and then Rise has to deal with them because the majority of Oxygen is coming from that bottom side. So Lancer Fire is going to be key here and critical for Rise to keep Oxygen uncomfortable as they push through this open landscape.
coming into this next hill, I like the positioning here of Avexyes. The way what he's going to be able to do is see that front middle door, and he's going to have some help from the right. Detox is there to the left of Avexyes, so if anybody pushes up into that spawn area, if they push up into this area, they're going to get swiftly lancered on by Detox. And Detox actually waits a moment. Detox is going to hang back and go for basically a secondary flank. You see how all three players from the side of Ovygen push in, but nobody gets cleaned up. Ryze can't finish anybody as they push in. And I mean, without a doubt, that to me shows more ring rust than anything else. I hate to go back to that term, but you had a perfect Lancer from Avexyes for a good 10 seconds and you couldn't finish a player off.
Yeah, that's tough. It really is, because Ryze is, you know, when they were playing in the last phase, they were fantastic at holding their ground, playing defensively. Honestly, they might be better at getting breaks on hills, but that should have been a solid defensive hold with the way they were set up and the way that Ovygen had to go straight into that Lancer fire. So for Ovygen, might have a pretty distinct leg up here. And in fact, they already do 72-33, but most importantly, like, that last push, like you said, is very telling. So Ryze, they're going to have to, I do expect them to get better as the series continues, but right now that ring rust is really ringing true. Rushiez trying to hold his ground in the back. Bronny breathing down his neck though with the M-bar. And we're going to get a second chance to see, can Ryze hold their ground defensively as Ovygen is going for a break.
Ovygen has to worry about what's going to happen here if they can't get this kill on the backside. Rushiez guards himself with a shock, but doesn't get either shot to come through. He's going to go down in the backside of the spawn. And once again, you can see Ovygen already setting up there over the next hill. Avexyes just waiting outside. He knows that his teammates are going to have to come straight across the bottom of the map. Nobody from Ryze rotating through that middle door just yet. And you can see him trying to spread through that middle section right now. It's going to be a 1-1-2. I think Avexyes is going to be in the most trouble, because if Avexyes pushes up, he might get taken down. There's one down already at the top. Rushiez will go down. Here comes Detox. He's going to get cleaned up. Icy, he's going to go for a little wrap shot, but he's not going to get anything to go. Avexyes down now as well. And another clean engagement for Ovygen.
Ooh, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Avexyes, 5 deaths, no kills across the board. Bronny, just a nice cleanup on the Rushiez with the M-bar up close. Cool, calm, and collected. And now you got to bring up, and you kind of alluded to this when it comes to Ovygen, but something that I've been bringing up, you know, even in preseason was like, you know, these guys, you know, from whether it be Ovygen, Elevate, you know, who's been, you know, constantly competing during the offseason, like, these guys are warmed up, they're ready to go, they're fresh, you know, they're in the pocket, if you will. So Ovygen, they're showing that. But that last team wipe was pretty clean, I can't lie. And that shot from Icy was also pretty clean. So has Ryze finally woken up? That's my question. We're definitely going to find out, but things are starting to shape up a little bit.
It's going to have to be a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, because you're down 110 points right now, and you have to come away with some big point chunks out of these hills. And you can see already where a couple of different players are starting to set up here. They're going to get ready for this next push. Icy with the M-bar in hand. Scavzy down low with the nades. Icy actually starting to get tagged up from the bottom. Has to pull back, has to take a different angle here, and you can see him just trying to find anybody coming into that hill to get a shot on. First shot out, finds a body. Not a kill. Avexyes and Rushiez will finish off the second. Now the third down. Scavzy last alive for his team. Full red bleeding. Not just down yet. Now here comes Avexyes. Hits him with a back A as he goes for the wrap. Will take him down. Good initial hold here on P3 for the side of Ryze. And they have got to cut into this lead just ever so slightly more. Icy, I like the setup from him. Staying over here by recruitment offices will give them the spawn point for P4, but it looks like there's going to be another attempt at this hill by Ovygen.
Yeah, you know, I guess they're kind of using this as a placeholder. If they can run through Ryze here, then they can rotate over 4 next. It's kind of a transitional point, but to their credit, they do win it, and I'm really going to test my theory, and that's exactly what I thought they're going to do. They're going to push the outside, try and lock in spawns for themselves. But Ryze has 3 members to the 2 of Ovygen, so they've got them outnumbered. So for players 6 and 5, Abolics, or excuse me, Rocky and Bronny, it's not going to be an easy push for them at all. But this is kind of reminiscent of that P2 position, right? Transferring from P1 to P2. Ryze is once again spread out as Ovygen has to cover and clear this open landscape. And this is where Ryze faltered before. Plus, you add the cherry on top. Scavzy has the M-bar. So it'd be very telling if Ovygen once again gets a clean break here.
Icy he's on this back cubby corner. His job is to basically help call out how many are pushing and where. He's also trying to protect that player in spawn. Big headshot there. Bronny, if he gets shot on, he'll go down, but not going to be anything there. He's going to pull back, so they're going to actually have to wait for another reset here. All 4 players alive yet again for Ovygen. Here comes another retake attempt. They know that Icy's waiting in the wings. Icy, good job to hold on to that last shot as well, because he saw how quick they were to pull back after the first kill. One player pushes in. Icy stepping up now. Big first shot on. The second shot won't come through. Avexyes going to try to help out here. But one player down for Rise. That'll be Detox. They're not going to find a kill. It's going to be 4v3 on the map right now. Icy pulls up with his flashbang, gets the throw. But now here comes a little bit of a pinch. I believe Detox got a close spawn. He's going to get one down there, but somebody's already in the area for the clean up, the revive, and the quick pick back. And Ovygen again with another pretty clean sweep because nobody's dying for them.
Nobody at all except Bronny, but in the hill, where's the presence from Rise? Well, nowhere to be found. Granted, let's give credit to Rise. They do bring the scoreline 136 to 153, and that was a heck of a hold, but Ovygen ultimately gets the retake, but next hill is up. So to Rise's credit, they got the majority of points. Ovygen did ultimately get the break, but to what point was it made? Either way, now though, Ovygen on the outside looking in once again, Rise has been doing a better job, in my opinion, rotating early and establishing themselves and setting up early on. So this might be the turning point Rise has been looking for. They're just mere points away from taking the lead for the first time in this map.
Yeah, and you can see here, perfect shock onto Icy. He has to roll out of that and try to get away from that. He's got 2 frags. He's going to throw one. First one separates the 2 players, but he doesn't have any opportunity to take over that shot there, so he has to pull back, hope for some teammate help. He gets a little bit of help from Avexyes, and I think he got a help from an Ovygen player. I believe we just saw some friendly fire.
Might have. Sometimes the best player on your team is on the other team, okay? Especially with that team fire. And in this case, Rise, hey, they'll take it to a bank 5v4, 5v3. Hey, whatever. It is what it is. At this point, Rise has now taken the lead, just barely, and they're going to take this to the bank. You'd have to assume Bronny, though, pushing in. Icy connecting onto Abolics with the nade. Bronny's getting aggressive. M-bar in hand, and Detox will silence him. Well done. Now the M-bar's gone. Bronny's out of the way. Rise secures the last 30 or so points, and they've got the lead on the next hill once again. And like I said, their rotations have been a lot cleaner than that of Ovygen.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Ovygen has to be concerned with is just how definitively dominating these last 3 hills have been. As discombobulated as Rise looked in those first couple of engagements, they have looked picture perfect here for the past 100 points or so on this map. And you can see Icy rotating in. It's like they get the call out. They go for the little bait and switch. The player that's hurt rotates out of the hill. The 2 players unhurt start to rotate in. A lot of extra damage. Rushy. And it looks like Icy will finish off those last 2 players from Ovygen, and another good early rotation and hill step by Rise will not only net them a bigger lead, but now an increasing, dominating, picture-perfect setup on this Rose Garden Hill.
And I'm telling you, man, Rise has had nades literally every single time, and they're making the most of it. Oh. Throws one out. Okay, so that's going to connect on Abolics. Avexyes back up. So to his credit, even though he gets dropped, holding on to him a little bit longer, he still gets 1 elimination. 220-164. Things are starting to get carried away. And Ovygen, they've got to close that gap. Let's recap. Ovygen, they've been stuck around the 160 mark for quite some time now, Colin. Rise, they've been pretty much getting every single hill and all the points. So for the last 3 or 4 hills, Rise has dominated. But finally, it looks like a break for Ovygen. They'll finally get some points their way. But of course, the battle for spawn control is going to be in play, and Ovygen did a great job recovering spawns before, but it starts by taking this M-bar, and Detox all in on the Scavzy.
You see Detox, good double shot there. He gets the back A to get the killing blow there on the Scavzy as well. And while that bottom hill has basically been sucked dry, 10 seconds left, that next top right hill, this is where we saw a big struggle out of Rise earlier. They had 3 players pushing into the 2 players of Rise, and they couldn't get any cleanups, even with the picture-perfect Lancer of Avexyes earlier. Let's see if they can do a little bit different here as you're going to start to Lancer out as these players try to push in. Rushiez pushing up into the area, sees them go through the big door. First shot's on. Not going to be able to get that down just yet. Here comes a flash, hoping to buy some time for his teammates. Pushes in, goes for the rotation to the up A. Doesn't hit the shot, doesn't get the kill, and there it is again. Ovygen, another perfect rotation and another perfect retake here on what is considered P2, this top right corner of the map.
Oxygen starting to heat up again, it seems. They had that bit of a lackluster performance. They tapered off, but now they're heating back up. Rise. Can they keep up with Oxygen's energy? Well, they're going to have to. Oxygen just mere points away from recovering the lead. And just like I was pointing out the deficit for, or excuse me, the points not really accumulating for Oxygen when they're at 160, well, Rise has been at 220 out for a little bit. So these nades once again into Avexyes' hands. He's had a good connection rate with about one. Rocky might die here, gets away. So one more remaining, but enough time for Rise to push it. But Scavzy takes the opportunity to take down one. Good team fire. The second one will fall. There's the third. Avexyes, last one inside the hill, and he is gone. Second big team fight. One back-to-back from Oxygen.
Now Oxygen, I mean, they're in the driver's seat. The way that you can play these team fights toward the latter half of this map, especially getting up over that 230, 240 marker, you can play a little bit loose, play a little bit reckless. They're going to come off the hill now with 16 seconds to go, which is a lot of time left on that hill, but you know that Rise is pretty much giving it up. They know that it's a wash. They're going to rotate over, try to get set up on that next hill, and try to start that same comeback. This is the start of where their luck kind of changed in the beginning portions of this map because of the fact that we saw, I think it was about 108 points or so kind of go effectively over to Rise after this hill.
Rushiez and Rocky have been at the standoff. Ultimately, Rocky will win that, stagger out the death. The M-bar from Abolics sent flying down the lane, but will not connect onto anyone, unfortunately. He will have some more company relatively soon where he has an opportunity maybe to, you know, connect once again. Nades not in play just yet, but either way for Oxygen, they've got a big distance to travel. And you know, when we get this close to 300, when you got this much distance to travel, and if you don't collapse and you don't capitalize on this next engagement, this next retake, the game's pretty much over for you. So this is a must-win for Oxygen, but man, must-win they are. Rushiez Icy last alive. The shock might shut down at least one choke point, but Oxygen, I think, is for sure going to get this break.
Yeah, Oxygen is trying to muscle their way back into this hill, and they are coming through the back lanes. Big double shot there by Rushiez, gets the finishing killing blow. Icy with a flash out, doesn't get a stun on either player. That's a terrible use of the utility, but Avexyes almost unstoppable.
Wow.
Gets one, gets two, now has to worry about the respawns as Oxygen holds on to the close spawn point, but oh baby, Taylor, just take a look at what's left on the hill and what the scores might be. Can we say we're going to get a little preview of that Elevate Pittsburgh Knights match? This is going to come down to the wire on the same hill, mind you.
Yeah, and this hill right here makes or breaks you. We've seen so many teams lose despite being narrowly away or just a narrow margin away from victory. But at this point for Oxygen, still the pressure's mounting. It is real. 280s. Oh, Avexyes tried really hard to get away from Bronny there, but Bronny hunts him down. Oxygen, good presence around the hill. Taking down midline player is going to help. Detox is now gone. Now Bronny can hopefully collapse in. Rushiez by himself. He is breaking his neck looking every step of the way. Unfortunately, not going to happen. Avexyes, though, has been a hero before. Will he be a hero once again? Well, you got to take down Rocky. Rocky's holding his ground, 10 toes down. Finally, he falls. It's a battle. Abolics is connecting. He takes down one, and Oxygen still coming back.
Oxygen just trying to push into this P3 and hold on to it. They have enough time to win off of this one. Any neutralizations from Rise are big. They get the first kill there, 3 versus 4. Abolics trying to find a shot on with the M-bar to get it down here. Is not going to be able to get one. Rocky pushes straight up into 2 players from Rise just to try to help out, but multiple members of Oxygen falling to the wayside. 10 seconds to go for Rise to get this map 1 victory and come back from an overwhelming point margin early in this one, and they will solidify it. They take map number 1, and it took a Herculean effort by Rise to not only overcome their deficit, but to win it.
Brother, Herculean effort for sure. That was not a clean win from Rise, but a clean win nonetheless. And I gotta say, Oxygen, I don't see them as the strongest team in Pro League, so I don't know where I rank Rise, but at least when it comes down to the pick and ban, we talked about Rise getting the bigger end of the stick, and Oxygen obviously the shorter end of the stick, and well, that was one of those factors. Regency control. So check mark 1 completed. Now we have Ephyra coming up, though, which is going to be that new map. But ultimately, though, I got to say, Oxygen in those team fights were pretty solid. Pretty solid. Like, without a doubt, man. How many? I know you normally keep track. Do you know? Were you keeping track that round or that map?
I had it stationed up right now for Oxygen. I actually had Oxygen winning more team fights against Rise in that one, and I had it stationed at 9-6.
Wow, that's pretty convincing.
And
to take the L?
Those 3 extra team fights that they win were those ones that didn't necessarily lead to a ton of points. Like early in that P2 or late in that P2 where they pushed in and Avexyes has a picture perfect Lancer. That's all free and good. You win the team fight, but there was 16 points left on the hill. Later on, they win a secondary team fight at P3 down in the bottom left. 15 points left on the hill. You're getting an extra team fight victory here or there, but it's not accumulating you a bunch of points. It's almost what we saw happen to the Knights earlier, where the Knights are getting a lot of fancy kills, they're getting a lot of stat padding, but they're not necessarily playing the objective of the game mode.
Trying to think about my shining star. Who would we have to give MVP to? Because
Avexyes and Detox.
Yeah, because Avexyes did a great job in key plays. I really like his ability, though, with the nades. Like, the nades were a factor multiple times, whether they were picking up one elimination, which that was kind of, he was pretty consistent with that. With the 2 nades, he'd pick up at least one, but repositioning was also important. This was a moment, he throws them out, he picks up one, but the most important thing is he created that spacing to get back into the fight, which ultimately, I think, well, I guess it didn't end up with the hill. Oxygen ends up taking that. But regardless, though, it was still a great usage of the nades in general. But yeah, probably Avexyes or Detox, to be quite honest with you. I got to say, though, you know, Bronny played really well for a lot of portions for Oxygen. But again, it's just, I don't know. I don't know where Oxygen falls flat. Like, I struggled to kind of find that. And I was, you know, kind of been thinking about that since not only the Pro League qualifiers, but also, you know, for the last chance qualifier. Like, there's just moments where Oxygen doesn't look like the Oxygen you expect, and I can't put my finger on it.
They're not playing the same team game that they were earlier, where you see early on in that matchup, they did a fantastic job of just keeping Arise apart from one another and allowing themselves to rotate around the map pretty freely, if you ask me. And then late in that map, when they gave up 108 points, you saw one person pushes in, gets taken down. A second person pushes in, gets taken down. They're just not doing a fantastic job of continuing that team fight tactics, those usual setups where they're getting a couple of Lancer shots out. I mean, right there at the end, you saw it. Rocky with no help over the top, he pushed it 2 dudes.
Did he have to, though?
Yeah, no, because they're not in the hill. They're not challenging your contention over the hill. They're still mid stairwell, middle of the map. The problem is that he had no Lancer help over the top. The 2 players can't break or neutralize the hill at their current position. All they're doing is trying to Lancer out at your teammates. But if you hold the backside of the T-table, if you focus out the backside of the T-table and wipe that out, or even wipe out toward the left side, you're safe. You're in the clear. People can push up on you, and now you've got a cover fight. But we know these pros are good at that cover fight. There's no reason they should shy away from that. It was, in my opinion, a very bad decision at a very critical time. There's no need for that senseless push into 2 players. Even if you think you can come away with one, what's the point of taking yourself out of the fight and opening up a free run lane to the hill for another neutralization by Rise?
So I guess,
answer me that. Riddle me that.
Well, this is the thing. You said it, 9-6, Oxygen. They won 3 more team fights, but maybe Oxygen would benefit off of a pretty vocal IGL. I don't know who. Can you take a guess at who their IGL would be?
Got to be Rocky.
It's got to be Rocky. So
Rocky's their emotional leader and probably their IGL. They ebb and flow with him.
So, but it seems like Oxygen has the makings of being a top tier competitive team. I mean, they're top 10. Let's make that very clear. I think people take this to the bank and they're like, "Oh, Oxygen's terrible." Oxygen's not. Okay, they're a pro league team. They're literally top 10 teams in the world. There was hundreds of teams, thousands of teams, whatever, trying to compete. You know, many great players didn't make it up to this point. So Oxygen is great. I'm comparing them to Rise and other top level teams, which is I'm just trying to say there's levels to this, like Blaze likes to say, okay, because chat, you get wild. But when it comes down to Oxygen, they have the makings of a championship. I'm just trying to keep them in check. You know, they have the makings to be a championship team. But that's apparent with them winning 9 versus the 16 fights of Rise. But it seems like they're making silly decisions. You mentioned Rocky in that 1v2. He didn't have to make that push. Maybe he would have been more beneficial with the Lancer fire. It's another thing, too, pushing hills with only 20 or so seconds remaining when you need to be prioritizing the rotation, because I pointed it out during the cast. Rise, more often than not, was the first team to establish themselves on the hill, on the rotation. They were playing the objective game, and they were making the most of it. Would Oxygen win team fights and get the breaks? Yes, they did a great job at doing so. I applaud them for that. But they weren't playing the objective game. They were playing more so the, I guess, offensive game as opposed to the defensive game. And a Regency defense is really what's going to win you an overall championship, because that means you're rotating early, you're on the hill, you establish yourself. So I would like to see more defensive work come out from the boys of Oxygen. Because, again, if you're winning that many team fights and you're not winning the control, no matter how close it is, 300 to 263, that means your IGL or whoever, is your shot caller isn't making the right decisions. You got to go back to the drawing board.
So I'm gonna say this, and I know a lot of people will not like the way this sounds, but it's got to be the storyline for this squad. Remember a few splits ago when TJ was added on to what was at that time, I believe, well, they just came fresh off of UYU. When Mental retired, they add TJ, and all we could talk about, one of our biggest talking points is, what can TJ do?
Right.
What is TJ? How is he going to fill those shoes?
He got tired of that.
But then, we come here to United. They pick up, after the retirement of Praised and Explosive, they pick up, TJ and Demise. And one of the storylines you have to talk about, because at the end of the day, you have to talk about team changes. I mean, if an NFL team picks up 2 new wide receivers after trading their 2-star players, or the 2-star players retire, whatever you want to look at it, you've got to talk about it. Rocky had a pretty decent winning formula. Oxygen had a pretty decently winning formula team when they still had Zoom on the squad. You know what I'm saying? And they still had Pushies on the squad.
Yeah.
And Pushies, by the way, he got a dub tonight. He already came out with his squad on Elevate and got him a dub.
I can't wait for Elevate to play. Just side note, Elevate to play against Oxygen is going to be beautiful. That's all I wanted to say, but please.
It's got to be a storyline. Did they mess up by trying to change their genetic makeup? Did they make a mistake in trying to switch things up? I know one mistake I'll never make is not having the official audio partner of Gears Esports on my head, man. Getting astrogaming.com and get tournament ready.
All right, well, let's get it started, man. Hopefully everybody's got their Astros up and ready so they can hear, especially those rotations from Icy, because once he wins this fight, which he will not, well, once Bronny wins that fight is what I meant to say, he's going to rotate in and he's going to help take down Detox, which doesn't happen because Detox is holding his ground. So everything I'm saying, just disregard it. Great start, though, for Oxygen. Detox last alive. And everything I just tried to set up for you, Rise, didn't work out. I apologize. Caster Curse to its finest. But I do want to point something out, Colin. You did say it best. You got to give credit to Oxygen here on this map, because this was one of those maps played consistently during the preseason. And we talked about Rise, a bit of ring rust, not playing as much. Well, this is one of those maps they might have not played outside of the map testing when we were testing it, in the last phase during E-Day. So other than that, Rise might be pretty rusty on this map.
Without a doubt, and I'm trying to take a look here. Bronny's going to go out to the porch, and they're going to go for an overload. They're going to go 3 deep to this side of the map. They've given up the window here to Icy, but Icy can't help enough. Bronny's going to have free run there at Avexyes and get a kill, and Icy didn't have the presence of mind to push down and overload the bottom side of the map to try to trade out power weapons, try to trade out positioning. And yet again, another couple of first blood and a couple of kills here. We'll have Oxygen up 2-0 very quickly.
Yep, 2-0 very quickly indeed. And, well, it makes sense. Again, they have the reps here. Rise may not be as experienced or locked in play. They do have the makings to be talented on this map. And the reason why I say that is because you look across the board and the slaying power from these guys could be incredible. But Oxygen, I think, is just feeling more confident. And they're making the pushes when it matters most. They know the cut is going to be coming in from mid. Bronny's, come on. He's doing an incredible job in this mid fight. This midline player, again, like I've been saying, is just so instrumental in your success or your loss. Avexyes, though, is getting peppered. Bronny force backed up against Scavzy. This is an opportunity for Rise.
Rise trying to find an opening here. Rocky with the torque bow is going to put one down right next to him on that cubby. Won't be able to find it. Rushiez will pick up that drop now. Second torque bow out. Still not finding anybody with it. And Rise, this is their opportunity. They got to use the drop shot to perfection here. Rushiez has it in hand. Has the active as well, so the explosion will be as big as possible. And Oxygen must know that, because look at the way Oxygen is spread.
Taking preventative action. I don't know where that overtime hill is going to be. Like I said before, you don't see too many overtime hills here, but normally that's because first blood happens so quickly. But this time around, we might inch our way closer and closer to the overtime, depending. Detox is about to have some company, however. Rocky and Bronny are closing the gap. Avexyes has to hold his ground. Rushiez will back up.
That was good.
Oh, my Lord. What a shot from Rocky.
Here comes the next shot in. Won't find anybody there. Again, Rushiez just trying to find an angle with his drop shot. One pushes out, but is a little bit too far coming in from downtown. Won't be able to find anybody. There's going to be 30 seconds until the overtime hill. Another push up and another pull up on another player from Rise, and he'll go down with no retaliation. 2 rockets in, 2 rockets down. No kills for Rushiez. Pulls out the dasher and finally finds one. Is it effective 2v2 now? Detox and Rushiez versus Abolics and Bronny. And they've actually switched spots here. Now Rise has to push into that overtime hill. Bronny's already there, has Lancer pulled. Shock is going to be thrown out to that picnic bench. Sees him push up and gets the one-shot chunk there, and Rushiez will pull out. Pulls the snub, trying to get a couple of shots in now. Has to push up, not allowing him to capture, but goes down. And another round in for Ovygen. Beautifully done.
Whew. Yeah, beautifully done indeed. Abolics, I mean, cool, calm, and collected under pressure. Looked like a great start from Rise, but they couldn't get the finishes. They just simply could not. I would have loved to have seen that drop shot be used a little bit earlier. You know, trying to line it up, get that perfect shot, ultimately just to whiff them. So, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to send it flying. Maybe even use it as a positional thing, you know, use it as a rotational item, and like the nades are used on Regency or other game modes. But I digress. That's a 3-0 lead for Ovygen. And Bronny once again opposite of Icy. This time around, though, it's going to be more emphasis put, I think, to the left, actually, from the boys of Ovygen. Look at Scavzy getting aggressive. That's the first time we've seen him push that lane that aggressively.
Yeah, indeed, and it's starting to really pay off here because they're getting a bunch of kills, and now one more to go. All it'll be down to is Detox, and he will have an attempt here to try to get this next shot on. Big torque bow bolt out, but there's the drop shot in, and the final kill out. 4 rounds in a row for Ovygen.
Shoo, sheesh. That's what I meant to say.
Look, I told Blaze earlier. I told Blaze yesterday, I'm too old to say that unless I get a pass from chat. If they say I can say it, then I'll do it once.
Colin, you say everything you want to say anyways. Why don't you just say it?
Have you met me?
Do you need a pass?
Look, I'm old. I'm old. I'm not allowed to say that.
I'm about to be 30, for goodness sakes, brother. Like, come on.
Still playing catch up. You're still playing catch up.
All right, well.
I'm your goddamn
Stop. Hey, you're not there yet. No. You're not there yet, man.
Ridiculous.
Uh-oh. Detox. Rocky? Huh? Rocky? So many missed shots.
Hello?
So many missed opportunities. It's a 2v2. Make that a 2v1. Rise wins a round? I don't know. Abolics sends one flying. He's got another one. He could bring it to a 1v soon.
Trying to. You see Abolics trying to stay inside the parking lot. He's going to bounce around. He's actually looking for somebody to pick off. Avexyes will get the tag onto him, though, so they know where he is now.
No.
Reaction shot
like
drop.
that.
Won't find anybody. And now Abolics is trying to just stay alive for a few more moments. I like the fact that it was almost like he was hiding at the corner, thinking Abolics was going to up A into that corner.
Mm-hmm. Well, this might be a pretty anticlimactic ending. I don't know, but Abolics has clutched before. Let's not kid ourselves. He did it last time, and the head's gone. Avexyes makes it short-lived. 1 minute, 14 seconds, 4-1. Finally, Rise puts a point on the board. But I go back to that torque bow engagement. There were so many shots missed on both ends, and Icy, boy, I gotta see more from you, man. You're at 0 kills, 0 assist. And Icy, as a player, I do not expect to be dropping a goose egg.
Not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form or fashion. And Ovygen 2 rounds away from tying it back up to, 1-1 here and trying to get back into this one. You just have to settle back in. Rise had a really good round last round. You see Bronny trying to play this pillar and plays it perfectly. Gets a kill there on Icy and starts his team off with exactly what they need. Another big kill, and now 2 members left for Rise. This is looking to be 5-2 here any second.
So I don't throw Icy out there arbitrarily. Just because of the player that he is, I don't. The reason why Icy, it's concerning that he's at the goose egg. He's sitting at 0, about to be 007. is the fact that he is opposite of Bronny. And I mentioned the emphasis on that hotel fight. That hotel fight is really key and critical. Winning that fight means you can rotate the back alley and you can assist your player fighting for torque bow. That goes from a 1v1 to a 2v1. So at this point, when Icy is dropping the ball like this, Bronny has free game to rotate in on the Detox. He's not even challenged this time, so now it's a free Lancer onto Detox in conjunction with Rocky. So Icy and Rise are going with a bit of an audible, but that audible doesn't matter because now you just gave a free first blood and a torque bow towards Oxygen. So that was not the play to make, not the adjustment they needed at all. And Icy, he's down, but he's picked back up. But is it going to matter? I don't think it is. Icy's going to go 007 here, and Oxygen's going to get a clean 6-1 victory. The hopscotch is in, and Oxygen, they're off to the races feeling solid, Colin.
I believe a 6-1 deserves a sheet out of Oxygen. What a fantastic map number 2 out of them. They come back and tie it up 1-1. As good as Rise looked to finish out map number 1, Oxygen looked that way all of map 2. Bronny with a fantastic map 2 with a 9-2 and 5 with almost a little over 7k damage, and 3 first bloods to his name. Oxygen looks to get a lead on Escalation coming up after this.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gears Pro League Split 1 Day 1, 2 maps done in our second series of the day between Rise and Oxygen, and a 6-1 victory, dominant victory for the boys of Oxygen. And, Chad saying, Taylor hates Icy. I don't. I really don't. I'm a storyteller, and he went 0-7. And again, in that hotel fight, that is one of the key points to be fighting for. When Bronny wins that fight, again, he's able to rotate down and 2v1 Detox alongside that of Rocky. It's almost a free torque bow. It's now you're not only getting a first blood inside hotel, now you're getting the second shortly thereafter because of the 2v1, unless, Detox pulls up and goes big, but you can't expect that from him every time. So Icy in that hotel fight needed to win those fights more often than not against Bronny to get or alleviate that pressure from Detox, but it didn't happen. Either way, though, going into this column, we knew Rise was most likely going to be pretty shaky on Ephyra, and that showed. But now they're going back into Harbor Escalation, pretty familiar territory.
I listened to that entire soliloquy, and all I got out of it was Taylor Reflections Noble says that Icy is a terrible player.
Oh, my Lord.
He hates him.
It.
He said Avexyes content is trash. Like,
I did not
what is
at
wrong
all
with you, Taylor? Like, why would you go in Rise's throat like that?
Oh my! Like, come on, hey. That's a response to Brooke
I'm looking at you right now, Taylor. I'm looking at you. Why would you?
No, you're looking at America. That's what you're looking at right now.
That way.
Yeah, America's that way. I know.
That way. You are over here, and I'm questioning you about your hatred of Icy.
I don't have a hatred of Icy. I loved Olaf from Frozen. All right, I'm a fan of Ice and Snow.
Hey, he likes warm hugs. Okay.
I do. He does. Well, you know what? Come on, man. Icy. I'm not saying Icy is anything relatable to Snowman, but I'm just saying you go 0-7. It's just not what you expect from Icy. And again, if he's playing that spot opposite of Bronny, you got to win those fights because Detox is there. But it's not all on him. Let me just say that it's not all on him.
No, hold on. I'll pull you out of this hole a little bit. Don't worry, because
I'm not in a hole. You put me in the hole.
You've done the hole with your slanderous comments, and I'll have you back a little bit, because the way they set up on that map, it literally looks like they were like, guys, we have not played Ephyra with the new weapon placements, so let's just put ourselves in these spots. Because I'm sorry, I just don't see why Icy's not playing the porch fight. The fact that he can take a true 1v1, Lancer out toward parking lot, use his IGL ability to kind of rotate people around after they win that fight, like, put Rushiez there in the 1v. Rushiez a great 1v player. Put Detox or let Icy's big brain come through for you. But now, you know what? They can't worry about it anymore because they got to go to Harbor.
They do got to go to Harbor, but interesting you say Rushiez, because I'm going to go back into VODs. But I'm pretty sure Rushiez was playing that 1v spot in a hotel during the testing tournaments. So
and that makes even less sense, because when we were doing the testing tournaments, the only weapon on the map was a drop shot. So it was like 3v3 and then 1v1.
We did do a torque bow. We did do a drop and torque, or a drop in M-bar or something like that.
You only had nades. It was utility nades at the bottom. It wasn't even a secondary power weapon. That's why nobody went down there.
We did a second one though. I don't know. But either way, I'm gonna go back. But yeah, that can't happen. But like I said, we're heading into Harbor, and Harbor is a map that Rise is traditionally great on. This is a map that definitely benefits them, but you've got to hit your shots and you got to slay out. And right now, it seems Ovygen is doing just that. Even on Regency, they won 9, to the 16 fights. But there it is. Rushiez opens it up wide, takes down Rocky, and Abolics. Bronny also falls. This is a map Rise is heavily favored on, and it's showing.
Already trying to get this triple cap domination to come through. 2 players might have a chance here to get in. Rushiez has to find a body shot on the one. Abolics will roll in and get the decap. They also get a kill there. I mean, that could have been bad news bears. That could have been almost circus-like comical if they'd have gotten a kill or 2 there. But they ended up not getting one. 40 seconds into round number 1. Come away with a victory here. Rise, they need to be very, very dominant in this map, I believe. If you're gonna ask me, and I don't think you are, but I'm gonna tell you anyway, they need to be dominant here.
Do they need to be dominant here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I asked you just to give you credit. I asked you, okay, because you said I wouldn't.
I said it. I went there.
Oh, chat, stop it. Anyways, Colin, I got some words from you during the break, but either way, man. Hey,
come on.
Hey, I know you're not scared of me. Hey, it's all good, man. It's gonna be even. It's gonna whatever. Rise 1-0 up.
You stuck
You got me. You got me shook it. All right, Rushiez. What can you do? You did it last time. There it is. Second time around. Takes down Abolics. Bronny also falls. Oh, God, love that bait and switch. Rushiez back rolls. Detox takes his spot. Gets the down. Scavzy left up to his own devices. You said they need to dominate. These first 2 rounds have been nothing but domination.
Now they're going to have a 1 rollout. Good Detox shot there by Avexyes to really confirm that kill. Good job. All 4 players yet again. Last round it was only 3. Now they're doing 1 better. They're going to have all 4 alive on the hill for the triple cap domination. That is going to be a 2-0 lead for Rise. And this is not a very pretty showing. I mean, this is like the flip script from map 2.
Abolics 0-4, Scavzy 0. Why we take it away? Abolics 0-4, Scavzy 0-2, and then I think there's another one, Bronny, there at 0-0. So look, I can be even, guys. It's not that I'm just focusing on one. I'm going to also point out that Ovygen is not performing well, and they're not. So that's a 2-0 lead for Rise. Incredible job, and now you got to raise the question: if another round goes the way like the first 2 did, what's the game plan? Clearly a power weapon, but where? And Rise is going to be ready for that because they love fighting these off-angle fights for the sniper. So either way, well, you're already losing a winch and stern fight, so my goodness, you can't place anything up there. It's got to go mid. It has to go mid. Or if you're Jacob, he wants to see something down there on the neutral hill, which would just be really weird. But either way, looking maybe good for Rise. They're peppering shot after shot. Oxygen's continuing just to push forward. They're not getting anywhere, though. That pressure. Avexyes on the flank. I mean, literally flawless initials from Rise in all 3 of these rounds.
Without a doubt, Icy goes into the B hill. Big L trigger. I like this. He's going to let him crawl at him. They're going to pick up the retro. Oh, go for it, Avexyes. Oh, I wanted him to go for the charge, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Hey, look, I was going to give him the chance to get $5. That's right, Stream. You heard it right. If you're a professional player during a Gears Esports broadcast, get a retro charge, you can claim your $5 from your boy.
And only one person's claimed it, right?
Kenny Bounce.
That's wild.
No, it's not Kenny. It's Rocky, actually.
I'm about to say it's not Kenny, but I didn't want to correct
Kenny
you.
Bounce has the most money. He has the most money,
but he hasn't collected.
Outstanding, basically.
Yeah, but he hasn't collected.
And the fact that I've said it on stream like 7 times and he still hasn't come to collect for my head, like, I'm gonna owe this man my life at some point, and then he's just gonna show up at the front door like, yeah, I need the house.
Need your peacocks. Need your horse.
Damn right.
3 zeros. 3 zeros across the board for Ovygen. Only 1 kill amongst the 4 in 3 rounds. And Rise has literally put on a clinic when it comes to this winch fight. I mean, it's really poetic, and honestly, it's Mozart. Bronny, though, does have the off angle, and finally some life from the boys of Ovygen. They will have the 2-1. Player 4 is just holding his ground. Icy. But see, Scavzy should have made this push. Your team won that fight up top. Why not commit for it all and go for the neutral as well? Like, I feel like that's a missed opportunity, but they do wait for 2. And Icy will fall in the meantime. Will this game plan pay off? I think it will. Detox does get a touch, though. Bronny will get the finish, and that's going to be round. So either way, Scavzy waiting or not, it ends up paying off. So, hey.
It comes to fruition. They got one, baby. They got one.
It had to happen sooner or later.
You know? Well, you know, Rise won a round in map 2, so they, you know, Oxygen was due to win one in map 3.
Mm-hmm. And a good thing, too, all jokes aside, it's 3-0 down, or it was 3-0 down. Oxygen doesn't place a power weapon, so now they don't fall behind in their sideline weapons, so they still have the shock. So now it's neck and neck, and we're going to a fresh half. So Oxygen might be onto something.
They might have found a little wrinkle in the defense of Rise that they can expose. 3 players coming to the wings, 1v1 in the middle of the map yet again. Going down to the bottom side of the hills. Rushiez will have to sit down. He got hit with 2 flashes. Now throws out his big body shot there, but nobody has Rushiez back at the bottom of the winch. And up top, it takes a lot of extra damage and firepower. They're going to go for this revive and try to reset in this situation, but yet another team fight here at the winch and stern, won by Oxygen.
And they win it, like you just said. And, you know, Oxygen's pacing is weird off of these initials. They're not fully committing for the fight. Like, even when Icy's pinned up in the corner, they don't push them. They double stun them. They have them sit there, and they don't push them. They wait for their opportunities, and it's not bad per se. It's just different. So I don't know. I might be a fan of it depending on how it ends up playing out. Rise is going for a retake. Abolics is about to have his hands full. The smoke is out, but the mark on Detox is going to be helpful. Rushy still, though, tempting fate, pushing up. The shock blocks to right lane, so probably going to be at the standoff a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer as it stands right now, but a 40-point differential getting even bigger here. Going forward in this one. Shots on from Rocky down to the bottom. They're holding down this top stern area. 3 players mounted up. Long range throw coming in. It will land on the backside of E and try to block some of those players from taking the front side of that pillar. They're going to take the backside of this spawn, but Rocky has a picture-perfect angle to shoot in. Here comes the extra shots. Abolics will have to go for a flank here, and they're actually going to just rotate over to player 4, I believe, Icy. They're going to get shots onto him in the back. Icy gets the call out that he is fully tagged up. There's the down on Abolics. They're inside the home hill of Rise. And they're going to leave Abolics to his own devices. Scavzy still waiting in the wings here at the home hill. But look at, I like this from Oxygen. They've out-rotated Rise twice now. Only 1 player up at E-Hill. Detox trying to play his best bet. He'll go down, but it looks like Rise is going to trade out home field for home hill.
That's exactly what they're going to do. It's hard to maintain this, though. It's really difficult. But to their credit, they do have the win condition, Colin, so this is a winning spot to be in. Now it's up to Oxygen to retake their home hill. Losing this fight could put Oxygen in a pretty awkward spot. And also, little wild card situation, Bronny. Bronny might be pushing player 2, and if he does that, I don't know, he might be opening up a can of worms. So he is going to push this fight. Detox is going to be ready for him. Icy tries to bolt talk some shots onto him. It's not going to connect, though. Meanwhile, the 3-man push from Oxygen is in, and Bronny wins the fight on the opposite end, Colin. So Rise could lose this right here, right now, depending, but it looks like Rise is winning their fight. So Bronny winning that fight on the opposite end could have been the godsend that Oxygen didn't even know they needed.
Yeah, Oxygen might have gotten caught just right there if they'd have lost all the fights around the map, but Bronny's still alive here, bleeding red. They need 1 more shot on him. Big back A gets the kill. Avexyes will get the cleanup there. They are going to be on the D hill. This is going to give them a few more moments of respite here in this fight. There's the retake, 5 seconds left, and it looks like they might overcome this. They are going to overcome it. Rise is going to go up 4-1 because nobody from Oxygen can make it across the map in time. What a comeback in that round by Rise. I really do think that whole round kind of comes on the back of Icy getting the call out. They get a few extra shots for him, and then him hitting the Boltok shots he did. Getting those downs in the early parts where I was saying that they were getting out-rotated gave them a chance to kind of come back in each of those fights.
That's a round that hurts Oxygen. Like, they were already hurting down 3-1, but that was the swing round they needed to win. And to Bronny's credit, he did everything he needed to do, rotating, getting the home hill away, winning that fight against Detox. He was in a 1v to win that home hill, and even almost in 1v2, he gets one of them, almost gets the second. Bronny did everything he possibly could. Ultimately, the rest of the team didn't, and Rise takes that victory. But the reason why that hurts so much is because Oxygen fought so hard for that round only to lose. Now you're down 4-1 and your shock is out of the way. This might be cleaned up and wrapped up very shortly. And it looks like they're shooting fish in a barrel in terms of Rise, and Ovygen has nothing to say about it. That's going to be 2 down, out of the way, and gone. Bronny standing on his last leg. Icy and Scavzy now at a bit of a standstill. Scavzy goes to make the first move. Icy, though, not taking the bait. He's happy with the stand-up because his boys are going around. They're going to Lancer him. This might be a domination.
Yeah, one more chance at this. Here comes the last player. It's going to be Rocky. He's going to try to go up these stairs. Avexyes, good Lancer fire, gets the down. He doesn't even have a chance to get in the hill. And that will be map 3 wrapped up. Rise very dominant in this map 3, and it all is off the back of their mid-winch play. And that man right there on your screen, Rushiez to me in these initials, just a little too much for Ovygen to overcome. What a fantastic job by him. They can learn from and use that in other maps to try to reallocate their troops in certain positions. Rise, they take a 2-1 lead going into map 4, which will be back on control.
Well, that went about the way that I expected it to go, Colin. You know, when it comes down to Harbor, you know, teams know better than to let Harbor slip through the cracks and give that to Rise. So when I saw that, when we looked at our pick and bans, it was quite a shock to me. You know, Regency is one of those Rise is great on, but we've seen teams play Regency against Rise and they've won. So some teams prefer Regency. But to see Harbor, I would have definitely preferred to watch Vascar. Training Ground's still a great map for Rise, though. But either way, you got to pick one. Harbor, in my opinion, the worst one. But that is, you know, it is what it is. That's a 2-1 lead now for Rise. And, hey, the first 3 maps went exactly how we expected them to go.
Good shot there by Rushiez. I love these highlights. Look at the way that Rushiez... I really wish we just almost had a highlight reel of him controlling that mid-witch fight.
Because even off the start, Rushiez, you know, round 1, runs through 2 of them, overextends. Huge plays from him. Absolutely massive plays. And give credit to Icy, too. And the reason, I'm not even backtracking, but it's the reason why is because, you know, he held his ground on that right side for the neutral, you know, multiple times. Like, Scavzy was very hesitant to push him. And funny enough, that Scavzy wouldn't even push Icy for control of the hill, for the neutral hill in the first half, even when his team won the winch fight. Scavzy still wouldn't make the move. Icy had him pinned down dead to rights. So shout out to Icy for holding his ground. That's a big win. Ritual control, though. Now we got a narrow discussion there because much like Ephyra execution, Rise hasn't most likely played Ritual. They don't really know Ritual like the back of their hand like Ovygen does. So we might see a Tomb execution around the corner pretty quickly.
Yeah, we could very well get there. Again, this Ritual control, the big difference here for me between this and Regency, or this and Ephyra, when it comes to playing Ephyra, they might have had a decent, they might not have had the right setup for their spawn points, which came back to bite them. On control with the continuous respawn in the game and the ability to rotate around the map and go for hill after hill, that might be a saving grace. Plus, Ritual has a lot of little nooks and crannies that you can kind of get around the map to get little flank angles on, get little shots on. And I mean, who else would be the master of that other than Rushiez? I'm really expecting him to maybe have a big map 4 here on control because of the fact that there's so many little angles that he can take to kind of wait for the rotation, wait for somebody to come around the corner and get that cleanup kill and put Ovygen back on the back foot. It's going to be interesting nonetheless, but I think that this is going to be a much closer map than we expect.
It might be, you know, and you brought up a great point with the constant respawns. They have the ability to reset up and readjust to what's being thrown at them. So they might do okay here. But I mean, if it's anything like that first map, like, my goodness, it might be pretty wild, you know, especially if we see Ovygen take a decent size lead. But I like the fact that you pointed out Rushiez, you know, hiding in the shadows, taking players out one by one. You know, this map is deceiving. You know, Ritual, it's a very open map. The Torque Bow has massive effect here. Your Lancer Fire has massive effect, but I have seen more players hide in the shadows and pick up sneaky eliminations than any other map, aside from Reactor, where we see that, you know, all the time. But this map is crazy for it. So you need to keep your head on a swivel here before you know it. If you don't, you're going to get sidelined, taken down, and you're done and dusted. Ovygen looking to take over the first hill. That's exactly what they'll do.
Now we go into that first hill with Ovygen. I mean, again, just a good dominant performance here, and the way that he's able to continue really their same pacing on these new maps, knowing the way that you got to rotate, knowing the way you got to take these fights. has just been a brilliant strategy for them to have both of the new maps in this rotation so that all they have to do is pick up one of the other 3 maps. I think that's a great thing for them. And I mean, early in this one, up 30 points already. I think Rise needs to start thinking about the next rotation.
I think you do too. You know, cut your what? That was a great connection cross map. Your torque bow players on a map like Ritual matter. Okay, guys. I mean, you have the ability to just pop off, make shots like that, and I mean, it goes from a 4v4 to a 4v3 to who knows, whatever situation. But your torque bow player is a nasty Rocky. Great connection from him. Either way, though, Oxygen's winning their fights. I mean, you look at the kill feed; it's lighting up blue nonstop, Colin. And next hill should be going their way, even though Rise, might have been focused on next, but Oxygen was, I think, more prepared.
Oxygen is already over here. They're waiting for the collapse from Rise. One down in the middle there for Oxygen. They get the kill onto him. The Wolfpack for Rise is coming through the bottom side of this map. They need to quickly get a kill there onto Rushiez, but Rushiez is actually going to be able to push through those pillars. They get 2 more kills. They're cleaning up the last couple of downs, and they force the spawn out from the side of Oxygen across the map over there at Sacrifice. One player, though, is waiting. There we go. I was going to say one player waited over toward that close spawn point. And that is Avexyes. I thought for a second I had to take a look at which player it was. I thought for a second that might have been Rushiez just waiting in the wings, going for one of those kills we talked about in the pregame. But it ended up being Avexyes. He gets that first kill, and it allows him to get that close spawn back for his teammate. They get the quick collapse onto them, the pincer movement, the double lancers gets the down and the kills.
49-34, things are starting to brighten up for the boys of Rise. Like I said, hiding in the shadows. Rushiez got to be careful here. Keep his head on a swivel. There's one player just hiding around a corner. He's been spotted, though. Rocky, unfortunately, exposing his position, allows Rushiez to push up, and that's going to be a 1v2. Tough spot to be in, but with the cross, though, Rocky tried to get the finish. But to his credit, though, he wasted enough time for his friends to get the finish. Avexyes head down. Gets a best case scenario for Avexyes there to at least take one down.
Hey, yo. This next hill is a pretty important one, especially for the defensive team, because you saw where Abolics is. Abolics is actually in a spot that's almost impossible to push because it's straight down a very thin hallway, and you can just lancer down that hallway the entire time. And with no backup, Rise has almost no hope to get into the backside of this hill to be able to pressure him. Rise playing there at the altar area. All they can do is either wait for the respawn of the torque bow, which is 1 minute and 10 seconds away, which is unadvisable, or they have to just push back into this small area yet again. And Scavzy again has the perfect angle into that big window to put pressure on anybody pushing up.
Enemy mark.
Nades out from Bronny. Vex is going to die off from that one. Oxygen doing everything they can to win this fight. Detox just really tanking so much damage from Rocky, but still up, though. That's the important thing. 4-man strong push in. Abolics trying to get a pick off this choke point. Detox reads him like a book, though. Even though Abolics gets first shot, Rocky can't do anything. Bronny now looking at a wall of Rise members. It was looking good, though, to his credit, but he's going to fall a bit short, too. And a ton of points going to head over to the way of Rise. Take a look, though, across the board when it comes to damage done. You got to give Oxygen credit. They've got a ton of DPS, but at the end of the day, Rise, they've got more points. Well, they don't, but they will in 9.
I was going to say, they got to get a few more.
They will 9 points.
Hey, look, quick maps, baby. Quick maps.
Hold up.
I got you.
Take
I'm with
pause.
you. I'm with you.
Take a pause. Rise has more points. So to their credit, even though they don't have more damage per second, they still got more points.
And they have a good setup here. The fact that they're already at this mid lane with 2 players mounted up here at the temple, this is where that next hill is going to spawn. And it looks like down at the bottom, they've set up to try to fight over that torque bow. Rushiez has one more in front of him. Rushiez going to finish off that kill onto Bronny. He has one more 1v1 here to try to win the initial on this next hill. Flash out at him. Rotates away from it, needs to hit a big shot there. The long bounce from Scavzy doesn't come through, but the melee's there for Rushiez. I love it. Absolutely picture perfect, just buying time, winning fight after fight. And now Icy, he's going to have the torque bow at the bottom of the map.
And
this
that torque
is
bow,
another big play by Rise.
And the torque boat's going to pay dividends, Colin. It really is. At this point, Icy's going to rotate out. You can tell Oxygen 4-man push looking to go in. Player 4 Scavzy, though, is going to be rotating out. I like the fact Detox is reading him. That's what Detox needs to do. He overall is going to be calling out the shots. Oh, Icy, you got to live here. Abolics, though, is hungry for blood. Icy creates that distance. He has his life still, and the torque boat still in his hands. But the hill will go to the way of Oxygen. I really thought Rise was going to be able to hold on to that hill, but Oxygen, to their credit, did a great job getting the break, Can Rise pincer the players in, though? Player 8 thinks he's doing that, but he might be unknowingly running into Bronny and Scavzy for a 1v2.
Avexyes right here to the backside of this pillar, looking forward to the left here with Scavzy. Flash out, now goes for the wrap shot. He's gonna get lancered in the back and go down. Here comes Icy. He's going to be the third player into this wolf pack. They get the down there onto Bronny. Big shots out. And they've cleared out most of the players from this side of the map of Oxygen, and they can back up toward that next hill. You can see where it's about to spawn, and Detox is actually pulling back all the way into the spawn. They're actually right on top of the spawn logo of Oxygen right now, playing all the way back there where they start the map off. And Detox hit every one of those snubs to get that kill, and now...
Where are you all?
Oh my God!
Colin! We lost him! Colin, he's red light, he's gone! Colin, what'd you even hit? Would you throw your pin in America? What was that?
Losers.
I can tell.
This man, Detox. He doesn't only look good when he's playing. That man looks good all the time. And oh my God,
that.
Don't do it to him again.
Oh, he's doing it. Oh, he didn't do it. That's okay, though. He did enough.
You're right. He only wasted 45 seconds of Oxygen's life as a singular human being.
Had to be the funniest casting moment I've ever had. Like, just hearing you freak out and throw things. Loved it. Either way, oh, Rushiez. Okay. Well, either way, though, hey, we still got one more out there. Icy looking to make that push. Oxygen holds on. They're going to cover some ground, but they're fighting for scraps at this point. And Rise, they're fighting for the whole mill. You can tell they're rotating on that lower side. They're now going to meet Oxygen head on for the fresh hill. Holding on to this next hill is going to net them enough points to break over 200. It's still a competitive map. Oxygen, very much so, still in it. Rocky with the torque bow. Big X factor that is going to affect Rise. Don't poke your head up. Hey, splash damage is not enough. You're going to have to make more. But either way for Rise, they got a good hole. I like that they're spread out like they are. This should be a moment where Oxygen struggles to get inside the hill.
Real quick, in case you didn't know, United 3-0'd Fire and Ice. I'm just throwing it out there.
No. I did know. I wrote that down, and I was going to point that out.
I mean,
I am shocked, and I'm upset.
I'm contractually obligated to announce their wins, okay? I mean,
of course you are.
What was that?
You probably, at that point, you took a break. You put on the EU jersey. You put on the EU hat just to make that announcement. And you took a selfie and sent it over to the EU manager to say, hey, you can use this for your promotion of our victory if you want.
Hey, look, we come to you live from EU HQ, and we are here with an update. They're 3-0 over Fire and Ice tonight.
I wouldn't even be
here,
mad.
Oxygen Esports has taken back over this hill from Rise, and they're trying to get back into this. This is a situation where Oxygen has given up a lot of points yet again, just like they did on Regency. And they have to stop that bleeding by not only coming away with a big victory here, but taking the lead and holding this hill for pretty much the rest of this time.
Bronny moving in. He's hungry. He wants to finish this, but Scavzy gets him before him, but that's okay. It was a team effort. And, you know, I thought Rise was going to have a solid hold on that last hill. Well, it turns to be more fruitful for the guys on Oxygen. Mere points away from taking the victory. They'll close it with 172, 174. Focus on next. And, well, Bronny's got a big task at hand. He's got Rushiez weak. He knows he's weak and downed. Will he get the cleanup? And he does just in the nick of time, but Icy's there for revenge. He's got two players, full red, not going to get out of there. And Oxygen, hard-fought battle, will secure the next hill and finally retake the point lead. And it's been some time since they had it.
Yeah, and this is also a good setup for them as well because they're already at the backside of the hill. They've got the replant again with the 4 torque bowl bolts for Rocky. And they have, I mean, this is going to be the Berlin Wall to have to go through because all Rise can do is come through big doorways that are wide open to Lancer angles, and this is going to be clearly up over 200 points, maybe even closing into 220, 230 area before they come off of this hill.
Nice, nice torque bow out. Bronny did die off, or did pick up a couple of eliminations just before. And Oxygen's starting to take a lead here. This might start to get pretty worrisome for Rise. And I don't know if it's because they're running out of gas or is Oxygen just playing better, but they really are getting the best or the better of Rise, at least as of recently when it comes to these team fights. Oh my goodness, Bronny from around the corner. Bronny from around the corner will pick up 2. That's 2 down once again for Rise. Not even having the numbers to penetrate this last hill. The Torquebo hill, Oxygen secured every single point just about. That puts them 234, 175. You do have Ice in the hill currently, but unbeknownst to him, he might have some competition relatively soon, and it's going to be in the form of Bronny and Co. who's going to be just up ahead. But will a pincer happen? Maybe. You got Avexyes and Detox who are going to be on the flank. So now Bronny goes from being the predator to the prey. He's down, and look at this clean retake, minus Rocky popping off a little bit, but Rise finally gets the hill so they can close the gap.
Good job there. They get the kills, they get the hill. 50 points differential now. They've already come back from about a 70 to 80 point differential to come back into this map. Now only down by about 40 to just tie it back up. And with 50 points left on this, I don't know if there's going to be, I don't know if they're going to stay here the whole time or if they'll start rotating. I know Oxygen will probably take 1, maybe 2 attempts at this just because of being up over that 230 point marker. Any points getting you closer to 300 is that much bigger. Torquebo picked by Scavzy yet again. This Torquebo has been, I mean, just the thorn in the side of Rise for most of this map. Every time somebody every time somebody has it, somebody gets killed. I didn't want to curse I cursed 2 people.
One more.
Please don't curse 3.
There it is. My lord, right. Scavzy, you're nasty.
Okay.
Thorn in the side, you said it best. Look, Torquebo on this map is a must-have. You have to have the Torquebo to be successful. Key points, Abolics at 19 assists. Bronny, though, leading the charge when it comes to damage as well as kills. So nothing, nothing you wouldn't expect, right, from Bronny and Co. But Scavzy, again, people criticize the addition of Scavzy on this roster, but he has provided a ton of value. Make no mistake, and Bronny too. Bronny too. Granted, Pushy's been popping off, like Colin said. They got their victory earlier against Pittsburgh Knights. Well-deserved victory. My goodness, especially on that checkout. Go rewatch it. 5th and final map. Checkout victory was great. But either way, though, Scavzy is holding his own, guys, and Bronny too. So Oxygen could be a scary team depending. They do have some inconsistencies, but this would be a start. Sending it to a map 5 could be closer to sending it to an upset. But the scoreline's too close. Neither team could be too comfortable here. This hill is important.
Coming down to the wire here in these last couple of fights, Rocky gets a big down there, and I love the fact that he goes for the meat shield just to buy him some time against Icy. He still gets peppered up by Detox in the hill himself, but now we're going to see Rise have the ability to hold on to this hill defensively if they can, like we saw a few moments ago. Comes the flashes deep. Detox is just trying to hold this cubby corner. There's an up bait, but he doesn't get the chunk. Abolics only gets 90% of it, so he eats that shot a little bit and doesn't go down, but a good nade over the back gets a kill from Icy, I believe. And Rushy tries to finish off the last one, but a picture-perfect break from Oxygen. The fact that nobody got chunked by Detox set that fight on its head and allowed for Oxygen to come back into that pretty picture-perfect, pretty and flawlessly, if you ask me.
Oh, this is so big, though. You said it, best. Scavzy's had that Torquebo. The Torquebo's been a thorn in the side of Rise. Well, when the scoreline is this close and you're this close to 300, Colin, to get that Torquebo this late is perfect. But after all, though, you got to watch out for those shadows, and Bronny's hiding in them. He takes down 1. Losing Avexyes in this moment would hurt Rise. Avexyes needs to stay alive at all costs. I don't care if every member from Rise dies. You can always go for the refresh, but this Torquebo needs to provide value. They fought so hard for it, but he only has 3 bolts left. He hasn't connected yet, but this is where you need to connect. Going for the break. This is the final hill.
Yeah, this will be the final fight, the final points in this map. Avexyes with the torque in hand. Going to try to stick the top of that cover with an active to try to get the splash damage to work. Now he's going to try to stick another one here at that mid-cover point. Gets the kill from the active, gets the shot on the Bronny for the down.
Okay.
Now Abolics is down as well. Last player alive is Scavzy. He's going to get 2v1, 3v1, excuse me, and 28 seconds to go. 2 big pushes out of Oxygen are all that is left, and the longer they take, the harder they're going to make it on themselves. They are going to get it down to 1 more push, maybe, if they continue to take but so long. Rocky going super wide to the backside. They already find 1 kill on a rush. He's bouncing through the hill. They pull out to try to get some kills with a 2v1 situation, but it's still the kill feed back and forth, hot and cold, blue then red, but still coming out on top. is Oxygen, and they have 17 seconds to win.
Wow.
They need a 5 or 10 second neutralization. Does Rise.
Come on, Rise. You got to get this push. You got to go forth. The smoke will help. You got a couple players marked. Abolics, though, in this spot is going to be key. He needs to pick up some eliminations. Regardless, though, are we going to a next hill? We might. Rise is going for the break. They're going to be successful. Abolics, though, from around the corner needs to go big in a moment.
But
go
to the next hill.
Not enough points. We're going to the next hill. I can't believe it.
Play. Go to Rise. I was going to say, go to Icy. Go to the next hill. That's done and dusted. That's washed. Rise has to play defense again on a hill that they've already lost once. Avexyes goes for a big flank. He gets called off, taken down after being shot on. Revives are tried and true. Another player from Rise flies in. Now here comes Icy, playing his life, playing his smarts in a 3v1. Gets a down, gets a big body shot. There's only 4 seconds left of Avexyes. He has to bounce around to stay alive. He goes down.
No.
Oxygen, Oxygen. I've got none left, but they still got one more map in them. They win map 4 and will send us to a map 5 after they tie it up 2-2. And Taylor, I couldn't have asked for any more. Back-to-back map 5s to start Pro League here this season.
Ritual ends 302.94, as close as you get, and obviously Rise did not want this map 5. Well, here it is. Oxygen, good on you for sending it there. Tomb Execution to decide it all. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome back to the Gears Pro League Split 1 Day 1. Colin, I cannot believe how close that was, and what a clip to start off with. Rocky with the cross connection torque bow. That was within the first 30 seconds of the map in its entirety. Torque bows making all the difference. Scavzy, great connections. Beautiful rotation at the final hill for Rise, and even better retake for Oxygen. This series is giving everybody a little taste of everything, and I couldn't be happier.
Here it again. Oh my God, do it to me. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That is
Yo, that Detox clip is never gonna get old. I'm just telling you, brother. Like, I'm gonna put that thing, like, some people are like, you know what? I listen to the same song every time I lift weights in the gym. I'm just gonna play that clip. I'm gonna be like, I want to be Detox when I grow up, and I'm just gonna try my best, man.
Man, that's no lie. Like, Detox, for all his effort, though, you know, still took the L, but my Lord, was that a close one. And, you know, I'm happy to see Rise, though, keep that competitive 302.94 on a map that, you know, has been played quite a bit from Oxygen. And this is just day 1 of Pro League, so it gives me good faith that, you know, Rise is going to shake off that rust. They will be a dominant team like they always been, you know. And granted, you know, they definitely have to start scrimming more and playing more, but you know, the fact that they kept it as competitive as they did on a map that should be relatively new to them, hey, hats off. They played that incredibly well. Now they're heading into Tomb Execution, and Tomb Execution, look, has been there. And Rise has been there, done that. They've taken L's on it, they've taken W's, but the fact is, they know that map very well. So I think this is where things start to get a bit more difficult for Oxygen.
Well, this is going to be very interesting because when we go into this Tomb map, and this is still... How do I say this? This is still the ghost map for Rise, if you ask me, because when they had that picture-perfect split and everybody thought they were just going to run roughshod over the competition, and they ended up only winning control maps against Vanquish. At the time, they were known as Vanquish. Against Vanquish in that grand finals, and then comes down to that round 11, and it's a 2v2, and basically the moral of the story, you and Blaze were talking about it, was, does Zysho have it? Because it's the first time Zysho's ever been in this spot.
Sure.
And he played it to perfection against Rushiez and Ices. Do they have the ability to continue to wash that out of their system? Because I have yet to be ultra impressed with their Tomb. And we've already seen that Oxygen pretty much prefers execution. They've given up they gave up 2 big leads. I mean, even though they won map 4, they gave up a huge lead map 4 to even have it be that close to begin with.
Yeah, 4 in a row, yeah.
And then they got decimated on Escalation, but they ran roughshod over him on Ephyra. So if Oxygen favors execution, this is their best map to get this victory and get what would be considered basically the second upset of the day.
Yeah, 100% upset of the day. You know, again, Oxygen has had their struggles. They really have, but take into account that they have been playing, though. They've been practicing. They've been scrimming. They've been competing in the Pro League qualifiers. They competed in LCQ. Rise, I don't know. I don't know how much practice they've really had. I really don't. They didn't play in E-Days. I haven't seen them once in any of the E-Days. I think we did, 3 or 4 of them. They're in the offseason. Same thing for Noble, but that's a discussion for later in the next series. But if you're not scrimming, you're not playing. I don't care how inconsistent a team is, Colin. It's gonna be a hard series. You might struggle against them, and I think we're seeing that. I do not have Ovygen as a team that is going to be a championship caliber roster. I just don't at this point because of some inconsistencies they have. But Rise is also sending it to a Mat 5 against this roster. So, it's a give and take. You take it, and you guys decide what you guys think about it. But overall, like you said, man, have you been impressed with, Rise on Tomb? No. But is it a familiar map? Yes. And they've won all the maps that are familiar. So maybe they have a fighting chance.
I think they need to come out with a really good initial. Again, we saw them kind of get overwhelmed a lot on map number 2 on Ephyra. And coming here to map 5 Tomb, other than being scared for a lot of things possibly happening, this needs to be a good, decisive initial, but already Detox dies to Rocky. Rocky just, throws a flash, gets right up in his grill there at the long shot, and gets a kill to take over that long shot. And now everybody else from Rise is kind of scrambling to play down toward the Torque.
So Rushiez is stuck. You can't go for the pick on the Torque bow because you're going to get your head blown up by Rocky. And the other two players, it's really, I like this push from Abolics. Yeah, that's confidence. Because again, you got the overhang with the snipe. You've got the Lancer fire. It's very low risk for Abolics to make that push. Where's Icy? Where's it going to go? You can't really go anywhere. That was picture perfect. That was a great round. It started with Rocky. Abolics did a great job, because he understands Rocky's got a 6. So perfect. Really perfectly executed.
Without a doubt. And if Rise doesn't kind of button up here and really start to fix some of these issues, this is just going to be a 3-2 victory for Ovygen. If they don't get it, they're going to have to get some rounds here quickly. Abolics is going down toward the Torque, and Rise, they stand up to Lancer him, and they don't get met by kind of the standard push out of anybody. And Bronny gets a first big shot on, but he gets 2v1. Rocky tries to rotate in to help him. First ice will go over to the side of Rise. Rocky bouncing back and forth, trying to stay alive as long as he can. Avexyes gives a helping hand over to Ovygen, and Rushiez now has to run away from Abolics because Abolics is on the hunt. It's going to be a 3v1. This should be a Rise round, though.
Good shot from Abolics, but like you said, it's going to be a Rise round. Too many numbers to get through. 1v3 is hard to clutch. It really is. Despite that team kill, Rise still victorious. And, almost team ace if Abolics didn't pick up that last one. But maybe Bronny should have been as aggressive there. I get it. I do. But maybe he should have pumped the brakes a little bit. But that first round, honestly, I think it just lit the fire under them. They said, we're going to push you every round. We don't respect you. Maybe they do pump the brakes here in round 3. I don't want to see Bronny just full speed ahead, but we'll definitely find out. Avexyes is already kind of keeping them in check with the Lancer fire. Rise does commit 2 for the Torque bow, though, so that's going to keep Rushiez with the Torque bow. Bronny picks up the snipe, so both teams kind of getting a little bit of what they wanted.
Rushiez comes back toward that back hallway. I love the fact that they're keeping Bronny marked. That is a great Torque bow across the map out of Rushiez. Keeping Bronny marked lets them know kind of the angles they can take around the map. Long shot might be on the ground, which is why they rotated somebody over there. So I think there's a chance that long shot might have gotten picked up again. I'm unsure if it did drop or not. But it is a 3v4 right now, and Rise has an extra player in mind. Splash damage out, but not enough for Rushiez to feel confident in pushing up. Now one player hops the cover. Scavzy is going to go to a straight roadie straight, gets the kill. It's going to be a 3v2, but Scavzy is on the wrong side of the tracks. He's going to get shot on in the back, and now Rocky and Scavzy stuck between a rock and a hard place, getting tagged up, bleeding out. They try to turn and burn, can't get him, but good angles here from Avexyes. 2-1.
And going back to that Torque bow connection on the long shot was huge. It really was, because now long shot's gone, Bronny's down. Not only does he have the sniper, but he also is one of your most talented players when it comes to, slaying out. So at that point, you got a massive advantage. Granted, Granted, Oxygen nearly swayed the momentum back in their favor. Once they took down Icy, like, the fact is, like, it was a 2v2, but they ended up getting Lancered and taken down. But either way, Rise not committing for the torque bow this time. In fact, the Abolics will go full send for it, and Rushiez a little bit too late.
Yeah, Rushiez playing back with the Lancer out. They get a lot of damage onto him, but they don't get the down, and a misroll by Rushiez is going to cost him his life. It's almost like just pure over-aggression causes him to drop on this map, and now the torque from the long angle gets a little bit of splash damage where Rocky will finish one of Avexyes trying to bounce in to get the kill on the meat shield, but he's going to go down all tied up again. 2-2.
Man, highly competitive. I mean, really, this whole series has been. Outside of Ephyra and Harbor, both teams kind of getting the best of each other. Rushiez just full steam ahead. And, you know, I don't know. Do you think he backs off of that? Would that be the better play? Or do you think Rushiez needed to fully commit in that spot to try, you know, neutralize that torque bow?
I think he has to back off. If you don't get up into his grill and you're not able to play against him, really, you can't just full send, because he's going to back up either into teammate help or into a position where you're putting yourself in a deficit, basically a life deficit. 3 players from Rise over rotate toward the long shot. They get the first and the second kill here. It's going to be a 4v2, 4v1 now as Scavzy drops. Abolics, he'll be up aid by Avexyes, and they take the lead right back. 3 rounds to go for Rise not to fall to Oxygen here. This will be a difficult road ahead, though, because I think Rise has to stop guessing at what Oxygen does. The rounds that Rise has really had a great showcase for is when they just pick a strat and run with it. An overload strat usually comes away with them for a victory, whether they overloaded the torque bow to get a quick pick on it, or right there we saw 3 players play up toward the long shot. Avexyes will be met by Bronny here. Smoke is going to go out now, a flash. Avexy plays back. He's going to get tagged up just a little bit from the middle of the map. And they're playing back to a point now where nobody can get an easy pick there on that long shot. Bronny stands up. He's going to get marked out. Nobody with any damage being done to him right now. This has come back to a stalemate. There's going to be a secondary initial on this, but Rushy and Abolics are the Rushy, Abolics, and Rocky. So Oxygen even has a lead here in the utility department. They have to pick their spot and they have to run with it.
All right, utility thrown. Detox might be caught out here. He will be, in fact. He just got in that little corner where he couldn't do anything. Now the rest of the pieces are falling where they should for Oxygen, and that was an absolute collapse. You know, at that point, when you make that push and you get caught up like that, you're going to get Lancered and crossed out. I don't know what the game plan was. Once that utility was thrown, I thought he was fully committing, but he doesn't. He pumped on the brakes and ultimately gave his life away, forcing the 2 mid players from Rise to try and make a move, even up the odds, ultimately for them to get Lancered and ultimately died out too. So that was, in my opinion, a bad execution. It really was, but Oxygen, they'll take that to the bank. So now, you know what? To everyone's credit tonight, everything has run really smoothly. This is the first hiccup we've had all night. I'm okay with that.
I ain't want no hiccups.
Well, if it's and buts or candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
God bless your soul for that.
God bless you, man. Seriously.
So it was somebody on a box.
Bronny, it's okay. So now, what do we want to do? Do we want to... Now, see, Blaze wants to roast me about my story time. See, I love story time. Okay, it's easy, it's fun, I learn. But Blaze got me a little self-conscious because he memed me that one time. He said, well, if I was Reflections now, I'd be doing story time with Colin. So let me ask you about this. So, Colin, let me ask you about this.
Okay.
What's up with the scaffolding to the left?
I love how Riz immediately looked right.
I was memeing anyways, but fair enough. We can ignore that because it was a joke. Okay, regardless. All right. Serious talk. What's up with this map in general?
What do you mean, what's up with this map in general?
Just tell me about this map, man. What's going on with it?
Well, this map is actually probably a part of what would be considered old Ephyra, not the part that's been rebuilt that's so beautiful in the game Gears 5. You can see all the overgrowth. You can see all the weeds growing up the sides of this map. But Tomb is actually just a representation. It's a microcosm of all things the Coalition of Ordered Governments. You see the regular old cog soldier. A lot of people would akin them to what would be Anthony Carmine or Benjamin Carmine on top of that tomb right there in front of that giant statue where they lay these soldiers to rest, these legendary soldiers. The top part of the map on that very top ledge is actually got a little memorial tribute to the one and the only Helena Stroud, the mother of Anya Stroud. And this map really just is meant to kind of showcase the legends and just how much loss and heartache the Coalition has had to go through.
So it's a really heavy map then, man.
It is.
Jeez.
I mean, it's heavy. And I mean, don't forget, Tomb was designed by the one, the only.
Say it.
Benjamin Laird, aka Strangulate, baby.
Yes, sir. Strangulate. Putting in the work. Love to see it. All right, 4v4. Bronny's back in. I really do appreciate the story time. I need clarification on the Ephyra, though, because I got to link the two because that's pretty interesting to me. But regardless, especially because they're both in the competitive rotation. But here we are, and it looks like Rise back off to their own ways. They're going for the quick pick. Last time they did this, it worked out. Like, it was perfect. Rushiez definitely struggling to get out, but he does. So Rise, hey, already first fight won without any bloodshed.
And Rushiez is going to push toward the top side of the map. 4v4 still. Nobody has dropped off. Looking for a shot here with a long shot. They're going to mark Rocky again. Avexyes will have the nades up the top. Nade in, trying to find a damaging explosion there onto Rocky. Neither one's going to find its mark, though. So the nades have been used and have been basically wiped off the map. But a big pick there by Rushiez will give him a 4 versus 3 on the map, and the ability to possibly take the lead back if they are careful enough in this situation.
All right, Avexyes trying to stay up, always getting peppered though. He got peppered way too much, can't get out of that. Rocky now has an opportunity maybe to bait somebody who goes in for the pickup on Avexyes, but Avexyes, no one goes to save him, and honestly, that's the best play. You got to let him bleed out, especially with Rocky with the long shot breathing down your neck. It's too much risk. It really is. Rushiez, though, connects on a Bronny. My lord, good shot. 3v2. Shock, though, thrown out. This could be devastating for Rise. Maybe not, but I thought it was going to be a lot more impactful, especially with those players, because you got the shock that's thrown. Maybe it forces the players over cover straight into the remaining player from Oxygen. As they're coming over cover, I'm thinking maybe Oxygen picks it up, but I think it fell a bit short. It didn't hit its mark.
So a good lead taken back by Rise. They are up 4-3. They got to win 2 more rounds here, not to fall to what would be considered an upset game here. And it looks like Rise is going to go for an overload at the top side of the map yet again. They're actually going to send Rushiez all the way to the top. Instead of pushing Rushiez into the torque bow, they're going to give Rushiez the free lane at the nades, and Rushiez doesn't pick him because he knows he's got an angle here. He's got a good angle here. He gets one down. He gets both downs. They get both downs as a 4v2 instantaneously off the rip. The torque bow picked by Abolics. Abolics trying to find one pick. Throws in one shot, but it'll go straight in front of him as he doesn't aim it out. Now looking for anybody to pick off here. Sees a Lancer, I think, poke out from the reload, but doesn't even get splash damage there. It is 4 versus 2 on the map for a 5-3 lead and to be on map and series point.
Yeah, this is big for Rise. Love that push from Rushiez. Just once again to kind of highlight him going up top. You don't see that too often, but when you do, it has a big impact. Kind of like when Elevate, right? The entire of that final round against Pittsburgh Knights, they don't make an aggressive push, but they do it when they least expect it. And I think Rushiez kind of same mindset in that moment. Abolics, though, might be caught off here. Caught off guard. Does get away. They're going double back, and he's down, leaving only one more player remaining. That's Scavzy. There it is. Map point, series point, and Rise that much closer to victory. Without a doubt, Oxygen has a long road to travel, brother. 3 rounds to win it. It's a lot to ask for.
3 rounds in a row to be perfect for Oxygen, but hey, look, they've got a lot of skilled players over there, and they've got a lot of guys that can make some great moves, so they've still got a chance here. I don't want to count them out just yet in this situation. I think they might have a long road ahead, but they do have the ability to come back and get these fights to go their way. Abolics yet again full sending into that torque bow area. Avexyes trying to overwhelm the long shot side, actually taking left hand there, but it's a big enough spread to get the down. There's a couple of kills. 1 more to go. Abolics last alive for his squad. He's red. Rushiez maybe going for the chainsaw there is insult to injury, but Abolics down. Abolics will be out, and Rise, they don't fall victim to the first game trap game. A little Karate Kid Kung Fu kick by Icy with a long range punt with that skull across the map. They win it 6-3 and win it 3-2 map count. I love the last round strat pulled out. I mean, just back-to-back rounds by Rise, just pulling one out of the hat and showing that execution will remain a game type where if you set the pace, you can keep your opponents off balance.
And there it is, Rise winning the series 5-2. It was well fought, though, and nothing was guaranteed without question. But take note, Rise did lose the 2 new maps, right? And they lost them, not convincingly, right? That Ritual was incredible, 300 to 294. But there is some practicing that needs to be done on Ritual and Ephyra. But on the maps that are standard and have been there through and through, Rise still that team that dominates and plays incredibly well. So Rise, they've got a promising pro league here in this phase. And hey, it's good we didn't see an upset because, quite honestly, things have been crazy. We saw Elevate beat Pittsburgh Knights. That was an upset. And to see Oxygen beat Rise would have been another big upset. And pro league would have been just crazy at that point. But either way, one thing is for certain, again, Rise needs to work on Ephyra and Ritual, and more practice in general would help. But Oxygen also is a threat. Oxygen is still a team, just like when they were the old Oxygen. Well, with the old roster, but the name still stands. Like, you got to take them seriously, and if you don't, they might beat you. So I learned a lot from this series.
Learned a lot as well. I like the fact that Oxygen in this series, to me, really stuck to their guns a lot more. They continue to hold true to their identity, which to me will always be more of an offensive team. They try to get up in your face, disrupt your game plan. They didn't try to throw too many tricks in the bag. They said, look, we're going to try to go heads up with you, try to get some kills on you early and make you second guess where you're rotating around the map. And they did that very well on Ephyra. Didn't do it as well on Tomb, but I mean, we saw it time and time again. If you butt heads with Oxygen, they do have a lot of slaying ability. That's going to be a big kind of red flag to take the meme away from Twitter for just a moment, that teams are going to have to take a look at when it comes to Oxygen. That they struggle in the defensive department. They struggle to kind of adjust mid-game. And that's a thing you can exploit going forward. So that's what Oxygen, to me, needs to work on. When you play scrims, whether you get them against other AM teams or you get to scrim the rest of the pro league, try things, work on things, be a little second guessing. Just make sure you come out with all cylinders firing when you have to, and you can still win those headbutt fights.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like 4 series are done. Just to recap, Elevate beat Pittsburgh Knights, Rebel beat Hive, and then E United had a 3-0 impressive victory against Fire and Ice. And I know it's 2 different EU rosters, but funny enough, you remember last phase, E United did win or lose all of their series in the way of 3-0. So they're keeping the tradition alive, at least off of their first series. But hey, shout out to Rise, 3-2 victory over Auction. Well fought indeed. But again, you go back to the bread and butter, Regency, Harbor, Tomb, and no match. Rise was absolutely locked in place. And teams, again, learn your lesson. Don't pick Harbor against Rise. Go with Training Grounds or Vascar. Harbor is a map that Rise loves. They love that, and they're good on that map. So, for the few, the only team I think could face or really would be fun to watch them play would be E United, because E United and Rise have always battled on Harbor, even though it's a different roster. But I digress. Stop picking Harbor. It's just not a map that would benefit you. But either way, it is what it is. I'm happy Rise got the victory. I really am, because now things, are starting to heat up, and we've had 2 map 5s back to back. It's incredible.
Taylor, I am going to say this, though. I think my strategy worked. I think I just, I told them they were terrible. They weren't worth nothing. They were going to be rusty. I mean, I just, I gave them a noogie like a big brother. Just,
you did.
And they came out firing, baby. I love it.
Yes,
they got me my dub. They got me my dub.
They gave you the dub, baby. And they, you know what? They look good. They did look good doing it at certain points. So I'm excited to see Rise. And it was nice to finally see them. I haven't seen them, but hey, Rise is back and they are looking solid. 4 series, but 2 series on main broadcast finished with. We have 1 more to get through. And folks, this is going to be a good one. A rematch from the Summer Major Grand Finals. Pioneers facing off against Noble. These rosters know each other very well. So this is going to be one to watch out for. Pioneers Noble, you don't want to miss out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.